Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us on this historic day. My name is Richard Clarkson. I'm one of the trustees of the Vulcan Restoration Trust. On behalf of the Trust Board and all our volunteers, I'd like to welcome you all to Hangar 6 at London Southend Airport for this truly historic event. We also welcome Joe McPherson, the Vice Chair of Rochford District Council, and thank you, Joe, for coming along this morning. This is truly an historic occasion for the Trust and for XL426. But before I say anything else, there is one thing we do have to say on this particular day. Today, 15th of October, marks the first anniversary of the dreadful murder of Sir David Amess, MP. David was an MP for for Southend West, and before that, Basildon. Probably less known, but he was also an honorary member of the Vulcan Restoration Trust. And I'm sure, had all things been well, he would have been here today with us to watch XL426 roll into Hangar 6. So I would ask you all now to observe a minute's silence in Sir David's memory. Thank you, everybody. In a few moments' time, we will witness XL426, the Southend Vulcan, being towed into Hangar 6 for what we hope will be a very long and fruitful stay. The hangar will protect her from the elements and enable the Vulcan Restoration Trust to display her to the public and let visitors know about the role the Vulcan played during the long years of the Cold War. XL426 won't be hangar-bound though. For those of you who don't know, she is one of only 3 Vulcans left in the world that's still capable of moving under her own power. So whilst the doors to the hangar may close this evening, they will open again whenever XL426 moves outside to carry out engine runs and to perform her popular taxi runs on the Southend Airport runway. The Southend Vulcan may not fly, but she is a live aircraft in every other way. And she's 60 years old this year. Built by A.V. Rowe and Company in 1962, she served as part of the RAF's nuclear deterrent force and with its Vulcan display team before finally retiring from flying in 1986. She was flown into Southend Airport in December of that year, and it's incredible to think that she has been here longer, 36 years, than the time she actually spent serving with the Royal Air Force. Since being at Southend, XL426 has been visited by thousands of people at the Vulcan Restoration Trust's open days, held each spring and summer, with everyone keen to see the mighty Vulcan up close and stand under her enormous delta wings. But most of those 36 years that she's been at Southend, she has spent outside. But now she's coming in from the cold and rain. Inside, there will be more opportunities for more people, young and old, to visit her. With a roof over her head, XL426 can now look forward to welcoming visitors all year round. It is, of course, customary at events such as these to thank those who have made everything possible, and today is no exception. I would like to begin by thanking the management and staff of London Southend Airport. To put it quite simply, London Southend Airport has allowed what you see today to happen. Their support for the Trust and for XL426 is vital, and we hope it will continue for many years. Thank you too to the Trust's 700 plus members for their support. We thank to everyone who has contributed to our Hangar appeal. We have raised just over £20,000 so far, all of which and more has been spent getting the Hangar ready for XL426. But there's still work to do. If you can help, please do so by visiting our Just Giving page for our Return to Hangar 6 appeal, or pop any spare cash you have in the collection tins you'll find around the hangar. Lastly, but certainly not leastly, I would like to thank all the team who have given up so much time over the past 3 months renovating Hangar 6. If you had come into this space in the summer, you would have seen something quite different to what you see now. The hangar had been empty over the year and had previously been used as an aircraft paint shop. The colour orange was very much in evidence. On the floors, on the walls, and just about everywhere else. So you can probably guess what airline's aircraft have been painted inside here. The transformation since then has been absolutely incredible. The walls have been jet washed and the floor cleaned again and again. We have a new electrical system in the hangar. The toilets have been refurbished. The floors and the doors have all been repainted. A room to welcome visitors has been created, and we now have what will be a gift shop. If you just cast your eyes above you, over 200 of those ceiling tiles have either been replaced or newly installed to fill gaps. The areas outside the hangar have been tidied. There is new signage. I really could go on and on. An amazing amount of work has been carried out. And all this has been achieved by a small group of volunteers. The Trust and XL426 is truly in their day. I won't name all the volunteers on the renovation team. You know who you are, and thank you. I will, though, mention two. Firstly, our lead engineer, Andy Wagstaff, who has led the renovation team so brilliantly and given up so much of his own time to the project. Thank you, Andy. And secondly, Keith Fathers, our treasurer, who by all accounts has lived here since July. I think he's been home a few times. Thank you, Keith. As well as marking XL426's 60th birthday, this year is also the 40th anniversary of the Falklands conflict. During the conflict, the Vulcan, not XL426, I hasten to add, flew 8,000-mile, 16-hour bombing missions against the occupied islands. And we're delighted to have here today, amongst our guests, one of the guys who flew on those missions, Squadron Leader Hugh Pryor. Hugh was an aircrew member on what was called the Black Buck missions. He was an air electronics officer. So providing he doesn't mind, and I don't think he does, I'd like just to hand over the mic for a few moments to you who would like to say a few words to you.
Thank you. This has come as a little bit of a surprise for me. I didn't expect to see anything. But one thing I'd like to say is we who love the Vulcan appreciate very, very, very much what these guys have done for the restoration of the aircraft. There's so many of them around today that I can't remember. There's Matt, Paul, Keith, Peter, Andy, I can't remember all the names. They've done a magnificent job, and it's appreciated by all of us ex-Vulcan flyers. I was lucky and unlucky enough to be involved in the Falklands. I wouldn't say I enjoyed it, I wouldn't say I didn't enjoy it, but it was one of the high points of my career. And without stealing any thunder from today, if anyone wishes to talk to me about the Falklands, I'll be around and I'm quite happy to discuss any aspect of it with anyone here. But once again, before I go, I'd just like to say thank you very, very much to everyone. And one special guy I forgot, Jamie. Now Jamie is looked after so well, he's a great guy. Thank you, Jamie. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. As you alluded to, he was rather jumped upon to say a few words a day completely without his prior knowledge. And if you read about his role in the Falklands on the first Black Buck mission, I think it's fair to say you were a little bit unexpectedly involved in that as well, weren't you? You was on the secondary aircraft, which very, very quickly became the primary aircraft, and he found himself flying an 8,000-mile mission rather than returning to the bar at Ascension Island. But do have a chat with you afterwards. We'll shortly be bringing XL426 into a new home, but before we do, just to let you know what will happen. XL426 will be towed in by the Truss Air Tug. The tug will start up, hopefully. Fingers crossed, I get fingers crossed from that, that's always good to see. It'll go out to the aircraft. The crew will fix the tow bar on, and then the aircraft will be brought in and will park, obviously, right in front of you. Once she's come to a halt, the buffet will be open. The bar is already open, and teas and coffees are available too. Whilst all that's happening, the volunteer team will be putting up a new barrier across the front entrance where the doors are of the hangar. And we will then take down the barrier that's in front of you, which will then leave you clear to walk underneath XL426 and get a close-up view of the aircraft. Feel free to chat with any of the guys in high-vis vests. We'll all do our best to answer any questions you have. Can't promise we'll be able to give you an answer, but we'll certainly do our best. So finally, thank you once again for everybody for being here with us this morning still. I think we're on 12 o'clock now, so Matt, if you can take things away. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Squadron Leader Jim Barnes and I flew in XL426. The first time I flew in 426 was in 1968. So it was on 617 Squadron, the Dambuster Squadron, in 1968, and also in 1970 I flew in 426 to Cyprus, and we did a bombing run, probably with 12-pound bombs, practice run, and then we flew back to Scampton. And one of the things I can tell you about 426 is that the pilots said it was a wonderful aircraft to handle, and that's because they were all hand-built, and some of the Vulcans did not fly as well as 426. So she's very special. It's lovely to see the aircraft in the hangar, and I come here and do the cockpit talk, so it's a great thrill for me to see it in its proper place in a hangar.
Hello, I'm John Aldridge, and I'm the Vice Chairman of Stowe Mare's Great War Aerodrome. And we, therefore, know very much about the way in which charities work, and in particular the way in which volunteers work for charities. I was invited to come here today, and I thought, well, I've seen the Vulcan sitting outside with a canopy covered in canvas a few years ago, but I did come today, and I've been absolutely gobsmacked by the fact that after all these years, since 1986, when this plane first flew, that it's actually been towed into this large hangar as a result of all the hard work the volunteers have done. Absolutely amazing. We all know about the Vulcan. We know that there's about 3 actually left in existence now, and this particular one didn't actually go to the Falkland Islands, but it is representative of one that did. And as everybody knows, the amazing story of the bombing raid on the Falklands. And if it weren't for the fact that the volunteers have preserved this aeroplane, perhaps it would just get lost in the mists of time. Young people, young and old, would never understand what it was like to be in the RAF and to do missions such as were conducted by this plane here today. Well done, the Vulcan Trust, and well done to all their volunteers.
My name is Hugh Pryor. I was the Air Electronics Officer on board Black Buck 1 and Black Buck 6, all the first and the last attacks by the Vulcan on the Port Stanley in the Falkland Islands 40 years ago today. My job on board the aircraft was mainly to defend against attack by missiles, air-to-ground missiles, ground-to-air missiles, air-to-air missiles. I had many pieces of jamming equipment, including the very old-fashioned chaff, small pieces of metal which give off a big radar signature, and we had infrared decoys, which you could fire those off if someone was firing an infrared missile at us, and that would give a bigger signature than the aircraft engines and would therefore seduce the missile away from us. I also had a rear-facing radar with which I could check for any aircraft attacking us from behind. So we were quite well equipped. My other job on board the aircraft was mainly looking after all the electrical supplies, the engine-driven alternators, the auxiliary power pack, and communications. I did most of the non-air traffic control communications. For example, once we'd carried out the attack, it was my responsibility to contact the fleet and let them know whether the attack had been successful or not. That's where the code word superfuse came in, and that let them know the attack, in our opinion, had been successful. The one bad point, the one not dangerous, the one worrying point about the sortie
was after the last refueling. We didn't get enough fuel on the last refueling to allow us to divert to Rio de Janeiro if we hadn't made the last refuel. So after we'd carried out the bombing run, if we didn't make the tanker, we'd have to ditch in the sea. But as you know, it all happened nicely. We did make the rendezvous with the last tanker and got back nice and safely to Ascension.
And thank you so much to all of the team, but also to the public and everybody else who's made some donations to us to help us make this hangar into something special again since we last had it in 2017. Tonight we also have another special occasion with our hangar dance, which is going to take place in here when the aircraft is inside. And the audience will be dancing around over there with the band, with the Sid Boland band, and have a lovely time until we finish at 10:30 tonight. This is our last major event of this year, and then next year we will have our usual season of events, and to find out more about those and what's happening, please have a look on our lovely website, which is avrovulcan.com, and that'll keep you up to date with everything that's going on here. Now that we're back into the hangar, we're going to be able to carry on with our lovely winter work program, being able to do work on the aircraft, which we haven't been able to do while she's been outside. Now that she'll be inside, we can take things off and get the work done that we always wanted to do. So, lovely occasion, and it's great to be back in here. Lovely hangar, and thanks to all of our colleagues who've made it possible.